Maria asks, I'm so happy to hear we get to hear from Dr. John Gray. I would like to ask John this question. If we were your sisters or daughters, what advice would you give to us as single women when we're out there looking for the right man? For example, what qualities are important for us to look for, and what warning signs should we watch out for? You could probably do a whole interview on that one.
For sure. It's a big question, but I'm going to give a concise answer that would be concise but helpful. And that is, and I recommend this practically for all women, is often we look for the perfect person. And that causes us to go into a bias towards looking at what the problem with this person rather than what's good about this person. And your objective is to create a series of positive dating experiences rather than find the right person for you. It's if you were to visit my house, you'd see how beautiful home I have. But if you wanted to buy it, you'd actually hire somebody to see what's wrong with it. And that's what our brain does, is we're in a searching for the right person too much. So I'd recommend, as a woman, be open to the men that are interested in you more than you're interested in them, or equal. Try not to be with somebody where you're trying to please them, but they're actually more interested in pleasing you. Then you have a chance to try out these new skills of not being a people pleaser. And that's a whole nother subject. That's why we have the book there, Mars, Venus on a Date, and Beyond Mars and Venus. Those are good dating skills. But the answer to that is practice. Let your first dating experiences or your later dating experiences, if you're starting over, or you're still out there dating, stop looking for the right person and look for the person that makes you feel safe and not necessarily sexually aroused. Let that come as you increase your mental and emotional vulnerability. Then it's healthy to become and to listen to your physical vulnerability, which is your attraction to someone. So that's some good, concise advice.
Yeah, and it almost seems a little bit counterintuitive in a way, I think, right? And that leads, and it feels like, well, how do I find the right person if I'm not out there looking for the right person? It feels a little counterintuitive.
Okay, so when I give you another example of this outside the dating thing, which is my daughter wanted a house, a particular, she has all her, things she wants. She make a list of the things she wants. So you look at that. Then she started doing house shopping. And we looked together every Sunday. We looked, what does she like? What does she not like? And as she started to see more of what she liked, it became more clear to her what she enjoys the most and what she doesn't enjoy. But there was never this sense of, I've already bought the house and I'm stuck with it. You want to just create what's often called a yes set, to create a series of yeses in your dating experience. But if you're looking for the perfect person that you no longer have to date anymore, and dating is a drudgery because you're constantly disappointed sometimes, is you're looking to just create a positive dating experience. That's your goal. You know what you're looking for, but you're letting that refine what you like and what you don't like, what you like and what you don't like, what you like. And the don't like doesn't become, a real strong negative emotion because you haven't invested a lot in the relationship. So I don't know why it's paradoxical, but to me, it just seems like common sense is that don't push it and an experience. And one of the reasons why we tend to be attracted to the wrong people is because we have issues inside of us where we're trying to please people more than letting them please us. And our society so encourages women to be more masculine and not so much receptive. So you want to practice some of these skills that I teach of being receptive, letting a man do things for you, and that feels without feeling obligated to do anything for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so powerful. And this ties in with another question that came in. I think this will tie in really well here. Let's see. Let me find it. Oh, here it is. Connie, she says, I would like to ask John about something I heard him say in one of your earlier interviews. This goes along with what you're just talking about, John. He talked about going for men that we don't feel attracted to. I feel confused by this because I want to feel attraction for a man. Can John help us understand more about what he means by this?
Now, a large portion of women say to me, I went on a date, had sex with a guy, and he never called back. If that's ever happened to you and you felt sexual attraction for a guy and you went on a date, whether you had sex or not, and he doesn't call back, then you have a message that when I feel sexually attracted to somebody, they're usually not available to me. It's a thing that we all have, which is we tend to desire more of that which is not available. And once we have something, we're now looking for something more. So when your intuition actually doesn't say in English to you, but you have a sort of a Geiger counter that says not available man, if that's the case, where it's an unavailable man and you feel desire for them, then you have something that needs to be healed inside of you, which I call daddy issues, where you didn't get enough love and support from your father, or your mother didn't get it from your father. Then a part of you still wants to find daddy who's not available and get him to love you. And so what occurs later in life is that you tend to almost, in certain situations where a man is not available, or dangerous, or married, you feel more sexual attraction. And if you have that situation because of your life experience, then you have to choose to not date men that you want more than they want you. So see, attraction can grow over time if there's a curiosity and a respect. So if somebody makes you feel safe and they're interested in you, this is the ideal setting to practice being more feminine rather than pursuing men. And if you feel sexual attraction right away to a man, usually that is your body's subconscious response to win his attention. And that's what you don't want. You don't want to be in a place of trying to get more from him, but seeing if he gives you enough. And that's a receptive position. That's your feminine side, and that produces female hormones. But, being on a date is kind of a fight or flight situation, and it pushes women over to their male side where they try to please the guy, as opposed to allowing him to please you and being authentic. And now we have the basic dating skills, which is first be naked mentally and see if you don't feel more attracted to him. And if you don't, then you go move on. But you want to be able to express who you are in your mind first without trying to change somebody. Now I'm not saying just say whatever you think or feel, because sometimes, that could be offensive to somebody. It could sound controlling to someone. It could be argumentative to somebody. But express what you think, and particularly if it's different from his thinking, it's fun to be different. It's the differences that create the attraction. But if we're adjusting ourselves to win them over, then the attraction won't be there. So first you want to go for curiosity, interest, admiration, respect, enjoying. That's the heart starting to open, having fun together, being open together, sharing your feelings together. Then you become naked physically. Otherwise, don't rush it. And don't let your physical attraction guide you as a woman. Use your mind. Find somebody who's safe, who seems reasonable, seems good, who likes you more. It may be a little boring, but give it a chance to grow. It's like a little ember. You put air on it and it starts to become a fire. Or it doesn't, but you at least had time to practice good relationship skills where you're not trying to win a guy over, because so many women get into that.
Yeah, this is so great. This is so great. You're clarifying this. So you're definitely not saying that we just settle for a relationship where there's no attraction. You're saying that sometimes those initial tinges or feelings of attraction can misguide us or be misleading or send us going off in the right direction. And that oftentimes it's these guys where it's more like a slow start that the attraction can grow with and can turn into a relationship that has that passion and attraction in it.
Yeah, another way of saying all of that is be friends first, but don't put him in the friend zone. It's a little tricky. Don't treat him like a girlfriend, and men have to learn not to be like a girlfriend. But find a place where you really like hanging out with somebody, you like having conversation with them, they're wonderful. But don't make him into a girlfriend by asking him a lot about his feelings. You see, once you start penetrating into a man, now you're bringing him into his female side, and you won't feel the healthy attraction. He needs to be on his male side, which means he needs to hear you more than you need to hear him.
Mm-hmm. So if a woman is asking a man a lot of questions about his feelings, that's changing that energy and that dynamic and putting him more in the female side, and her going into understanding more about him instead of him coming back and paying more attention and learning more about her.
Nicely said.
right?
Yes, absolutely. You should be talking a lot more than him. And you should make sure that you're not arguing when you talk. You know, you don't want to be opinionated. It's just because what you want is to create a sense of different points of view are okay. We don't have to convince each other, but we can appreciate each other's points of view. You want to feel, what is it? I vote one way. One of my best friends votes the other way. We're best friends. We have fun talking about our differences because he's a friend. I'm not in any way trying to improve him, change him, make him better. So we have different belief system completely, but that's okay. I'm not trying to change him. I'm not demanding that of him, nor does he of me.
Well, yeah, and I think it actually makes a relationship more interesting when you're not exactly the same, when you can understand a different point of view and a different way of looking at things. I know there have been times with my husband in our marriage where I've been so convinced that I'm right about something, John, and then he'll say something. And I've learned from you, that makes sense. I tell him, I said, that makes sense. And I'm like, you know what? I hadn't really looked at it that way. And you're bringing up some really excellent points there. And it's helping me to understand that from a different perspective. And I was starting from the baseline of believing firmly that I was absolutely right.
Yeah, we need to get off our position that everybody has to think the way we do. And I like that you used the term interesting. One is finding interest, but more so for a woman, that a guy is interested in your perspective and you be interested in his perspective and the way you can calm him down when you're different. Because men want to change women just as much as women want to change men. There's no difference there. It's just that what a man needs is for you to say something, oh, that's a good idea. That makes sense. All right, you're right about that. I like that. Just be positive for that person. Give them what they need. Don't try to change them. And likewise, what you found, which I love, is you found that actually by doing that, you expanded your perspective and you feel a greater sense of connection with people of another point of view. We look at our world today, it's just become such a mess where people rigidly hold on to their right and the other people are wrong. We see in politics, there's the left and the right, and they hate each other. They can't even be in the same room with each other. We need to get beyond that. And ultimately, by getting beyond that, by having the differences in a male and a female in a relationship or dating, oh my gosh, that's what builds the attraction on a physical level, but let it build up based upon feeling safe to open your mind to hear somebody's point of view and still be attracted to them, to them hear your point of view and he's still interested in you. In a sense, you're kind of like testing, but really you're just being authentic. And then to start getting a little more intimate by sharing feelings. And feelings should not be misunderstood when I say that. Not like, let's talk about the relationship and how you feel about me. How you don't feel about that's dangerous territory. Don't go there. Sharing feelings is talking about your life in terms of not just what you think and what you believe, but it's like today at work, I was so happy I got to do this. That's a feeling. Or I was so disappointed. I thought this guy was going to do this and they didn't, but I know it's going to be okay. You have to, when you share negative feelings about work or your life or your kids, you need to always buffer it with, and it's not a big deal. I just like to share it. I can handle it. Otherwise, he's going to jump in there and try and solve your problems. But when you minimize the intensity of feelings by just saying it's not a big deal, but I was so upset, you can do that. Basically, you're saying it's not a big deal that you have to solve. Okay, it's another way of saying, look, I just need to talk about this. I don't need you to fix it or solve it. Because so many times women complain, and rightly so. You want to share what's going on inside, and a man jumps in there and says, well, you should feel this way. You shouldn't think that way. Well, why are you upset about that? That's not a big deal. That's trying to change somebody. And women, how men have done that in the past, and it kind of shuts you down. Don't do that to him either. Just don't try to change his point of view. Don't argue with him. Practice learning how to appreciate, just as men have to practice how to be a little more empathetic to understanding when women's feelings come out to validate them.